This is VJ Franz K. I'm looking right now at CoolPaintrVR, which is a VR art program for the PlayStation VR system. I was having some fun making some graffiti-style letters here, and just casually drawing, I made this spaceship using the mirror mode, and it is quite easy to get into, especially if you have tried VR art apps in the past. So I'm going to start a new one, and we'll talk about it. Yes. The main difference between this and TiltBrush, which seems to be a large part of the inspiration for this app, is that it is a one-handed VR experience. You use one hand instead of two hands, as in TiltBrush and a lot of the other VR art apps. And at first, I was trying to activate the other thing, and I thought it isn't working. But it turns out it isn't needed to work. It's designed for one hand, and I was wondering why would they do that. And I still wish they would sort of add on a two-handed mode if you want to. But and you can see the very smooth lines you're able to get when you get your PS camera arranged in the right position. You'll be able to do quite good tracking with this. Make smooth lines. Just you get used to moving your entire arm to do this. And one thing I thought is, if you take off the wrist strap for the controller here, which it looks a bit like a lightsaber, doesn't it? Or maybe you can joke it's a lollipop or some sort of candy because they have these glowing colors when you see them in the real world. But here it is. You can hold it like a giant pen if you wanted to, even though that's probably, I don't know, if you start using it like a giant pen from the beginning, you could get used to this grip, even though it is not designed for that, because you see the controls on here. But yeah, the quality of the lines and shapes generated is quite good. So I was impressed by that. Making a forest of lines here. I was impressed by that from the beginning. Just recently got a PSVR system, even though I've been using Oculus Rift for a couple of years now. But I've gotten really interested with some new developments in PSVR, and some of them, well, for example, the amazing game sandbox world creation thing called Dreams. So that will be so interesting, and I said I really want to be involved with that. So when I can get them, you will see me doing videos with Dreams, and that will be amazing. And it might be, you could be overstating it, but you could say that it might be the most creative video game of all time, in that you can play it and you can just create, or preferably do both. Enjoy making your own things, enjoy exploring the things that other people make with it. So, but back to CoolPaint here, CoolPaintrVR, because it's not spelled correctly. In the future, everything has to be creatively misspelled. So there is no E in the word painter if you're searching for it. But it's a good VR art app for the PS4 VR, and it's good that it's good because there's not many VR art apps available for the system yet, so you guys should, well, if you're a developer, please make some more VR art apps because we would like to use them. And the thing about the PSVR that is important also is that because it's an add-on to a thing for people of all ages, kids can play it as well as grown-ups. And, you know, it's also priced more modestly than a gaming PC that will run VR software right now. So I've been talking more about the system at this point, but I like the way the menus are arranged here. They're sort of hierarchical, and in some cases it's easier to find something than in TiltBrush because everything is just grouped in these little groups, and you have your my favorite to use are these so-called tubes. When you're drawing with a tube seems to have some... Now I've noticed the circular tubes come out as a hexagon anyway. So maybe the circular tube was just too difficult to implement or something. But you have different shape of tubes. I like illustrating with tubes because I've always been fascinated with the sort of 3D art look of everything. But like TiltBrush, you also have these things which they look... Wait, I'm still making a straight line. And notice I can vary the width by how hard I press the trigger button, so that's good. Yeah, you can get pretty good control here. It's nice and arranged here. I can switch from freehand mode to straight line. So depending on what kind of a thing I am trying to paint here. And yeah, this is quite good quality here, similar to what you find in TiltBrush or the other apps. Eventually, there is a limit to the length of a stroke. It'll stop, see? But that's a pretty long line. You aren't going to run into that limit under normal circumstances. And particularly, I just love doing these long lines. You can see all right, that is where my tracking ran out. I'm facing away from my PS camera. So, oh, I got stuck there. So let's see if I can get it back. All right, I'm going to use my DualShock controller and then... Oh wait, it's back. You can recenter. It would be cool to be able to use the DualShock controller in your second hand and recenter everything. Or, see, the menus popping in and out, it's a little inconvenient because you always have to jump out of the menu like that. Just pop in and pop out using these 4 buttons, but you get used to it. And like I was saying, the hierarchical menus, you get perhaps even a little bit more control over all of the different things than in TiltBrush, because you have all of these modes, the stroke mode, the material. Now this is specular. Is it shiny, diffuse? Is it sort of flat shaded or self-illuminated? It is this flat glowing color. Let's see. Not seeing much difference there. But notice there's not much shadow to it. It's putting out its own light. So yeah, I'm pretty satisfied with the quality of this, even though I'm used to more expensive VR things. But look at that. Look how nice and smooth the curves are registered there. So a lot of lines are getting in my way, so I press this thumb thing And then I have this. So by default, I'm grabbing the entire picture and moving it around and sort of spin it in space. And pretty soon after you're in VR art, you get spoiled by the ability to grab everything and move it, because then you begin to wish I could do it. I wish I could do it in real life and just move the entire large piece that you're working on. See, what else can we do here? All right, go back to this mode, and then it does get a little confusing with this sort of double set of menus there, but just practice. Like anything, you'll become perfect eventually. So we have these primitives here, cubes and torus and cylinder. This glowing cylinder, you can see the self-illuminated mode there. Turn it back to specular and then go back. There, that's the difference. No real shading there. They're shading, so it can be fascinating to just move your head through all of the stuff and look at it. But on these cylinders, there is something missing. It's like I can make a cylinder, yes, but I don't really see any way to control. Like, I would like to make a long, thin cylinder or something, but I can't. I can only make this length here. And let's see. Or in the case of a torus or donut, as an average person would call this, you would like to be able to make a thin torus or a thick one. You know, change the different radius, diameter of this thing, but you can't do that. So my biggest wish for CoolPaintrVR is that they will just add more parameters to everything. Be able to do that. So let's see. There's some way to be able to grab just one item instead of the entire thing. I'm forgetting that at the moment. There is a way to do it. Just a single thing. One part of it rather than the whole thing, but we'll figure it out later. Let's see. Oh, wait. Is it this? Yes, it is this. Okay, got it. So this cube thing there has selected me into grab one specific object at a time. And in order to do that, I guess I have to find the core of that given object, which is shown by a red sphere, and then get down to the core of it and move it that way. And maybe I can't do it with these brush strokes because it doesn't know where the core is or something, or maybe that's just a limitation. But, you know, a lot of times you won't need. Oh, and I can undo that too if I did the wrong thing while moving these shapes. That's good. For the price, which is quite reasonable, it gives you a lot of art ability. So I'm quite happy with it. See, try spray painting. Can I spray paint this? Wait, I know. Does it work on these? All right, we'll try. Make sure that I have selected a different color. Then try my spray paint. All right, so maybe it doesn't work on these primitive objects, but you can see I'm starting to recolor some of my brush strokes. Maybe this part of the app needs some work. I don't know, because I'm spraying, but it's not totally registering. But you can see the purpose of it. The idea is that you can recolor some of the line that you've already laid down and spray it with a different color. And there are other things. There are a lot of other things you can do. Erase. Got too many lines, too many things. Put them into that area, and then they are gone. I see. This tool, it's fun to use it. It's like a giant cyber multi-purpose thing. And yeah, it's adds a bit of fun to it, especially with the claw. It's just, it makes sense that it's grabbing things. Or you notice with the brushes and such, the nozzle will get wide or narrow depending on what it's doing. Yeah, that makes it fun. You have the multiple, which this is interesting. It'll just spray out a huge stream of objects of a particular color, but as with some other things, you need more parameters to really make this useful, like density and other things like that. So let's see, what else? Symmetry mode can be cool. There's fire, and TiltBrush was known for a lot of people making things out of fire and lightning and everything. And this fire is, well, it's not as cool as the fire you see on TiltBrush and other apps, but it's good enough. It's something. I don't usually like to use the fire brushes anyway because they're so gimmicky. They're distracting from your work. You know what I mean? The brush itself draws so much attention that they're not focused on what you have drawn if you're using brushes like that. Just my opinion. But add a bit of sparkling area to make it dramatic or something. Yeah, these particle brushes, don't really like those, but you might. It's up to you. So these different things. Oh yes, but I do want to talk about these organic shapes. And the organic shapes are really nicely done here. Let's see what, make a rabbit head. Look at that. But it filled it out. It sort of added a third dimension to it automatically. And you know, anything automatic, it may or may not guess how you really want it to be. But hey, with unlimited, well, it's not unlimited undos, but you have multiple undos. You can keep trying until you get it the way you want. A blue rabbit. Why not? Why not have a blue rabbit? A blue rabbit with bright pink eyes. And yes, they give you these color suggestions over here with these different saturation levels and stuff. But you can go in with a full palette and adjust exactly the color that you would like to have in a Photoshop sort of way. So that's good. So draw some eyes. Kind of weird. And perhaps he's a rabbit from another universe, right? So, let's see, and maybe his nose is bright green or something. Now that's one little difficulty there. You notice that if you're drawing a very small angled shape, the angles are too rounded to really accurately get that in place. But oh well. You know, add more parameters. Again, that would be great. What else do we have? So there are different kinds of organic shapes that you can use in here. Flat organic is, as you would think, you make something outward like a hand. Draw a hand. Make it a 5-fingered hand. And see, it has made it into a flat sort of slab thing, which is great. You can build a lot of things with flat slabs. Let's see, am I allowed to make a flat slab with straight lines? No, unfortunately I can't. So that would be great for building mechanical sort of things. Let's see. So go to this. Wow, look at that. Now that is cool. It has a bone system for the organic shapes. I didn't realize that. You could do so much with this. This is the perfect example. I created this by accident, but see, here I am bending the individual joints of the hand into the right shape. Amazing. And then, see, get that center zone again. He's pointing outward. He's pointing at me. He says, "When are you going to finish drawing all of my shapes?" So don't worry, Rabbit, I will do that. Oops. Oh, I erased it. And I guess there is no redo. Oh well, it would be great to have a redo. You saw that hand. It wasn't just me dreaming, I hope, to have that sort of cool amount of control there. So now his nose is a flat object. Maybe it looks a bit better that way. And organic, flat organic, and revolve shapes. So see that line, and then we do this, and no, that's not what I expected. Okay. Down like this. So that line is the line it will revolve, yeah. So we got this pear shape. It's a nice green pear, maybe a little bit wrong, but just remember that that line is the line that the thing is going to spin around. So just go back to your high school pottery class or something like that and just think of that way of doing things. And you could make simple things with it, or you could make something very complicated. Or even you don't even know what it's going to look like after it revolves, but here is all this interesting detail. Or something ridiculous. And it's possible, notice that part, it doesn't quite make sense. It's the object going through itself, sort of confusing the 3D engine a bit. But on another picture I was doing, that was actually interesting to use. So just keep it in mind as a possible. All right, for the whiskers, I think what we'll use is, we'll give him square whiskers. I don't know, he's an alien rabbit. And they will be straight lines, yes. So to get the thinness of the whiskers, I have to notice how hard I'm pressing on the trigger. And I wish we had a wider range of width. I would like to be able to select it to be able to do super wide lines if I want. Because actually, super wide lines could be shapes. You could build something out of these lines if they were thick enough. And the workaround for that would be to simply build everything very, very small, but alien rabbit here, I know what we'll do. So here, then use the organic, or the revolve shapes. Revolve shapes, and see, select it to a silver color, make it gray, and I'm still on specular. No, that's not right. So this is like a space collar for a space helmet or something for him. And switch it to individual grab mode there. And I really like that hand that we did earlier. Maybe I'll make another hand for the rabbit, but that is the collar of his space uniform or something like that. And what else? Now, he is kind of down low in my picture, so I'll go select this and go back to organic mode, then use the hand and lift him up and everything else, and I might go back and erase some of that nonsense that's just floating there. But I just made him a lot taller relative to me. And I'm sort of on the edge of my tracking zone there. PSVR, it's pretty impressive in terms of, oh man, did I go back and erase? I undid the collar. Oh well, it wasn't the perfect thing that I ever did anyway, but just draw a body. It's a bit too flat, I'd want to control how much inflating these balloon type objects naturally have. You know what I mean? More parameters you'd like. But here, sort of build him armor using a bunch of shapes. Or not really armor, it's a spacesuit or something like that. And then you can see where this is going. And it would be nice if I could make him a transparent space helmet. I guess they don't have transparency on this. Yes, you can bring in a reference image. That's nice. From your USB drive or something. You can use symmetry. In a minute, I will use the symmetry mode. Yeah, I would wish I could make my lines a bit thicker. So in this case, just make him some really thick arms or something like that. But what I'll do is I'll save this. Oh yes, you can export to Collada or STL, and that is what takes this app from being a toy and allows it to be a real artist tool. You can export to these standard 3D formats, so that's great, and you can also send them on their website, and maybe they'll show them off if they're good. See, so I'm going to save it to the console, then I step back and take a snapshot of what I've done here. Oh, masterpiece that it is, the alien rabbit. And then press this thumb button. The scene has been saved to the console. That's good. I noticed that sometimes there's an error where it says, your memory is full, you can't save more things. And I said, what? Because just recently got this PS4 Pro and still have a lot of memory on it. But then if you try again after that error, you have the correct amount of space and it lets you save. So if you think you're getting out of space error, at least give yourself a chance to try and save it again, because you probably will be able to save it. And even if your system is out of memory and you're desperate for what to do, just plug in a USB drive and save it to the drive. And then delete some of those demos or something that you don't need. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and reset. Reset the scene, yes, I'm sure, because it's saved. You can see the PS camera out there. And I'm going to now go to this. We'll check options. I can change my background zone. I can turn the background grid on or off, but it really does help to keep the grid on, because you are able to, you won't get disoriented when you're in the VR world. And I wish I had a few more colors to use, or just, a color picker so you can define your own color. But that is something they will add, I hope. Deep blue, sky, forest, autumn. It's a little bright. We'll try the gray. Or maybe, how about the deep blue? You could blue screen the footage after if you wanted to. What am I going to do in this deep blue? Switch back to freehand mode. It's a very relaxing experience. I guess I reached the stroke limit there again. It's a very relaxing experience to just doodle in midair until you feel whatever inspiration come to you. Or sometimes you just mess around for a while and then you get the direction that you want to go in. And I would recommend this even for people who are not artists, quote unquote. There are a lot of really nice art pieces which were created by people who were not artists or outsider artists or whatever. So never limit yourself. Just enjoy exploring what you can explore. I still like the look of those tubes a little bit more. And there's a program for PSVR called Gravity Sketch, which focuses on using this type of thing to build architectural designs and mechanical designs and everything like that. So, and there is a lot of precision features on that you won't find here, but it's a different type of app. It's got professional sort of people in mind, whereas this is kind of aimed at a casual artist, even though I've got to say that there's a lot of fascinating depth and other things that are here. So you might surprise yourself. That's an interesting texture, like melting cheese or something. Still haven't decided what exactly do I want to draw. Oh yes, I should mention about the PSVR headset. The view through the PSVR headset is pretty good, and it's not quite as high resolution as my Oculus Rift that I'm used to using, and I haven't had a chance to try the Vive Pro or these other headsets which have an even higher resolution, but it's all right. It's all right. It's remarkably similar, and once you get into some activity like this which draws you in, you're not going to be counting all the individual pixels. You're just going to be enjoying how nice or how fascinating the world of VR is. So if you think VR isn't cool, don't jump to that conclusion until you've tried it. Because once you're wearing a headset and you're looking at everything all around you, and it seems like you can touch it, especially in certain software where it's really well programmed, you'll believe that these are real sort of holographic objects or even real solid objects floating around, like it's part of it. But I was talking about the PSVR helmet itself, and I've got to say that the optics on it are pretty good. You can look through it and see things, but the helmet, the way that it is held on your head, is uncomfortable. And it's too tight, and it's not adjustable in the way that I would like. And I was going to do this video the other day, but I got a headache from wearing the helmet for a while. So yeah, it's pretty bad. And I like the rest of the PSVR system so well that I will probably try and disassemble the helmet and attach a different kind of strap to it or whatever to hold it on my head, because nothing can be allowed to stop me from looking at these amazing apps, right? I'm liking this. It's abstract art. It doesn't have to be anything in particular. It can just be shapes that I kind of like. And this could be, like writing in an alien language or something like that. But hopefully I will not have the same headache when I finish doing this video right now. But it is something that I seriously want to look into. Perhaps how to modify the headset, or if they might design a first-party or third-party solution to the problem of how to hold it on your head. And I may try to. I even figured out how to take it off my head and then hold it in front of myself so I can still operate the system. And it works okay to do that. But I'd rather just have that problem solved. Take a picture of this. You'd almost, your brain will try and decipher what that could be. I'll extend the headset again. Put it on my head as loosely as possible. And the other thing is that the light of the surrounding room is not blocked out. You can definitely see the room surrounding you at all times, which it can be good because then you're not going to run into your cat or a wall or something that got into your play area. But it does reduce the immersion factor, and people throw around the word immersion a lot, and it sounds like a buzzword. It is a buzzword. But what does immersion really mean? Immersion is, it's that sense. Your mind and body, your eyes and other senses believe that these things are real. Your brain knows that it's not real because you bought this expensive VR app and setup and all of this stuff. It knows that it is not real, but your subconscious mind begins to believe it is real. And that is the most simple way you can describe the idea of immersion. And when a VR experience has immersion, you know they are doing something right. Another thing is that the field of view for the PSVR, it's pretty narrow. If you really stop to think about it, you'll feel like you're looking through a pair of binoculars. And just the center of your view is being filled. But that is still good enough. It's good enough to achieve immersion if you aren't nitpicking on every little thing. A blue cone so I can control the size, but I would like to also be able to make the cone narrow or wide. That would be good. And if you make the cone really large, you can see that it has these edges. And it would be nice to be able to change like the amount of edge things on the cone. Now it's a big blue thorn thing. I don't know. The orange and the blue, it's got this strange color vibration, doesn't it? And that could be fun. We'll do the further adventures of the alien rabbit, maybe. No, something different. Something different. Oh yes, I said I was going to use the symmetry mode. And the symmetry mode is very useful. You can see this plane here. If I'm drawing with symmetry, everything is mirrored on both sides of the drawing. And suppose I was drawing out sort of robot shape here. Hands and a head, all of the, let's see. When I move everything with the symmetry mode, I am even moving the symmetry plane with it. And that is That is probably the way that you'd want to use it anyway. No, too narrow. Rotate it. Go back to paint. Maybe I'm blocking out the shape of a figure to make like this. Can you see? Like that would be the nose and that would be the body. If your robot has a nose. Many robots do not have noses. No, that's wrong. Gotta think in revolving mode there. Oh, yeah, so we're starting to get a sort of Transformers looking figure here with the shoulder. Go back. Get a shape for the arm. You can see where this is going. Draw a line along it and then rotate it. Yeah, it's starting to look like a decent robot there. Funny looking now. He's really been working out those pecs, right? Then I'll go to wait. The menu will always appear where you're pointing the brush at that time. So, see, I'm forgetting. Oh yeah, that's the two different menus. You'll get it eventually. I'll get it eventually. Flat, organic, here. So, oh, I see what we could do. Go back, do this, then this, then this. Interesting. So the two things sort of went through each other. Now we're getting a standard sort of anime video game looking robot here. I guess I'll delete that thing with the nose. He doesn't really need a nose, does he? These are the sort of questions you will have to ask yourself. Does a robot need a nose? These are pyramid shapes. Like these are shoulder spikes or something like that. I see, wait. Oh, I wish I could undo and then redo when I decided that it was still okay. Where is my eraser? Oh, wait, I see. So what you have to do is you have to go into erase mode on that other half of it. So took that out. Maybe I can take out these lines now. Gotta be careful not to erase my other stuff though. Move this forward. Thinking what is the best way to create the head. Perhaps a couple of pyramid or primitive spheres put together. This is a head, and then another couple of spheres for the jawline. That looks silly. We'll do a different shape. Couple of cylinders. Yeah. Then another for the neck area. That's interesting how it ended up filling out the detail a bit there. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. Look at that. It's almost like a dust mask looking face is coming together here. And I didn't totally plan how it was going to do it. It just did. And then a couple cylinders for the eyes, but they're too far forward. Are they? That's kind of cool how they look. Oops. How they're going forward, but I'll set them back a little more. That is better. And to go with this yellow thing, maybe bright blue eyes with circles. So gonna go in here and select this and sphere. I'll put the eyes in a minute. Maybe. No, that's. It looks like he has big cheeks or something. And that may not be the right look for this robot. Fill out some more arm joints while I still have my yellow color in place. Fill out some more things here. Okay. And you know, the more you work on your art theory, you'll be able to think of almost any shape in terms of basic shapes like spheres and platonic solids, so-called primitives. Go and make some organic shapes now. For a thumb. Then I will go and delete eraser. Erase that, and I think there's a way in here to copy objects too. And maybe I've not been paying attention to how to do that, but on an app like this, it's worth, after you have your initial fun without reading the manual and tutorials, you want to go back and read that manual and check out all the tutorials and videos that you could see. Because you could think, I'm a pro with this program, but then there's some feature that everyone else is using that you didn't notice. And yeah, so fingers. It is a big question to have 4 fingers or 5. A lot of cartoon design has 4 fingers, but ultimately 5 is the more realistic. And you'll notice a lot of American comic figures have 4 fingers. 4 fingers. But then anime tends to have 5. So if you care about that, see, I'll go into move mode. I like the way this guy is turning out, so I'm going to save him. And then you can always save over. Save over after you have done more things to it. Trying to remember where the thing I want to do is. Ah, yes. Move, then switch it down to here. Then switch it down to, oops. That was wrong. So it decided the end of my finger was the other end that I thought it was at, but oh well. I can still mold it into position. This molding seems like just an extra feature, but it could be the most powerful thing here, because you could make something with these organic shapes and then completely mold it in or that last finger doesn't look exactly right, but because it's the pinky finger, it gets the least attention. Oh, interesting. So that is an oversight on their part, or not, is that the 2 hands, one of them on the side of the thing is receiving the edit, and on the other side, they're not receiving it. So just know about that bug or issue if you're working on a symmetrical thing. Going to give him some eyes and color theory, make them a sort of bright blue, and then they will really stand out in the middle of the scene. Wow, he's looking right at you. Try it again. Get it right in the center there. Almost. There we go. He's a robot who's observing the human species from another planet. So no, it's too confusing. If that's the color of his eyes, it looks like he has 4 eyes. It's better when he has 2. I see a use for that revolving shape. So go back and do this and select this. It's about right, even though that wasn't what I intended to do, but revolve a shape. Why isn't that working? The other question you must ask yourself, do robots have ears? Not really getting the... Oh, I see. I could make... I just got an award for something, which is probably that I spent extra long working on a picture. I'll bet that's what it's for. Why is my tracking going out? Let's see. If your tracking in one part of the room is not working, you can always move your figure somewhere else. Oh, interesting. So if I move one ear, then the other one won't move. It's like tops sticking out of his head, right? Kind of like the way that turned out. How great would it be to have flat somehow he's gotten out of alignment. I don't know how that happened. Oh, I see. I accidentally moved my center. I accidentally moved my center alignment plane without moving him. So this may be the end of this symmetrical look of my robot. Too bad. Can I fit it back on? Not quite. It's a pretty good robot. I'm pleased with that. Got the sort of features that you might want. Gonna save this guy. And then I will overwrite the existing file. No, actually I won't. Because this one he got off of the symmetry of it. So I will create a new one. All right, these are going to be my closing thoughts for this video. Just my headset one more time. Go to reset. Yes. Choose a different background color. So if I'm here, let's see, what could I do? Just try this. If I wanted to make a really black and white picture, can I use self-illuminated? Can I use self-illuminated, but then pick black? What will that look like? Look at that. It's perfect black. So go and create a work of high contrast art here. The more you just try different things, you will find a lot of things that you like. You also find things that you mixed up a bit, so better to keep saving when you know you have something that you like. Final thoughts about this first streaming video that I've done with CoolPaintrVR. It is a good app. It's a lot of fun. It's for a good price. It also is one of the only artistic apps that you can buy for the PSVR right now. So all of that put together, I say, if you have PSVR, it is a must-buy. You will even you'll have more fun with it than you think you will have once you just get into this thing and start doing it. And VR art is going to be something significant. I have said this for a few years, that the world of art, it's changed in various ways, but one thing is that you had sculptures and you had paintings, but to make a sculpture that looks just like a painting is really difficult because it might just fall apart. It might go to pieces. But this stuff just levitates in front of you, and it really could be a very significant change in the world of art and just the way we think about things in general. So that's why I had to get into VR. It's interesting. We're also going to talk about augmented reality a lot soon, because augmented reality might even become more popular than virtual reality when layers of augmented reality are able to be imposed on things that you have in the regular world. But CoolPaintrVR, is it cool? Is it painting? Yes. It's both of those. You'll be happy with it. There are also the limitations that I've mentioned, which I hope they will listen to me and other users of this program and give us an update with more options, different ways to adjust the way that everything flows together, give you more choices for how you want to use it. And it would be cool to have a two-handed way to use it if you want to do that. But you got to hand it to them for. You don't even have to have the Move controllers. You can use a DualShock to paint, though that will look quite weird if you're painting in the middle of the air with your DualShock, but it is workable, so that's cool. But I would like to use the DualShock as a secondary controller, maybe flipping back and forth between the palette. I noticed on another app, which I'm going to review, which is the other big art program right now, Sculptor VR. In that one, you have two-handed control, but the optical tracking of the two Move controllers, one of them gets in the way of the other controller. So when you're trying to use the two palettes together, they interrupt each other's view. You can't see where my other hand is, but it's behind my hand here. So if we're going on a menu and my other hand is trying to select it, then it causes trouble. So maybe that's why they decided to do it just a single-handed thing. But give us more options. That's in my reviews. It's a running thing. I'm always asking for more options because you never know what your user is going to want to do, and if your app or game or whatever it is really catches on, then the players will discover all sorts of things that you hadn't thought of before. So the more options that you have open for them, the more possible that will be. This is VJ Franz K from the World of VR Art. Look at that, wrapping the lines inside and behind and around. VR art, it's such a cool thing. Mark my words, it's going to be a big thing, and I hope that I'm going to do a lot of good things with VR art, but who knows? Maybe someone who's just a kid and picks up this app will become the greatest artist of the 21st century. It's entirely possible. Everyone has to start somewhere, and sometimes it is the last place that you really expect that it would be. But give your kids creative apps. Give them interesting things to play with, making music or art or whatever, and it'll be educational for them. Video games are cool, but all of that violence and exploding things and thinking in that way it's a limitation on your mind. And to be able to go into this world where it isn't a bunch of gaming objectives, it's just making things for their own sake becomes the objective. And then that's cool. This is the high-tech lifestyle, and we're living it to the fullest. Please like this review, subscribe, and think about supporting me on Patreon. We're going to go into a lot more interesting things like this soon. Tell me what you think. Thank you for watching.